ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगीव यस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेमदेवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो हरिष्ठनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. Karika 12, page number 56. नात्मानं न परांशैव न सत्यं नापि चानृतं प्राज्ञः किञ्चन संवेत्ति तुर्यं तत्सर्वदृक् सदा. On page 57, Bhashyam, second line. तत् प्रसूतस्य अन्यथा ग्रहणस्य अपि अतः एव अभावः न हि सवितरि सदा प्रकाशात्मके तद्विरुद्धम् अप्रकाशनम् अन्यथा प्रकाशनं वा संभवति न हि द्रष्टुः दृष्टेः विपरिलोपो विद्यते इति श्रुतेः अथवा. That's a second thing. So in this Karikas, Gaudapadacharya ji is making a compare and contrast between Vishwataijasa Prajna and Turiya, between the four padas. And first he talked about the commonness between Vishwa and Taijasa, and commonness as, what is the commonness? Both of them are associated, Vishwa and Taijasa have a commonness. Both are associated with ignorance, non-apprehension, also associated with misapprehension. Both of them are associated with agrahanam and anyatha grahanam. Right? Both of them are associated with karya and karana. Either way you can say. So this is regarding Vishwa and Taijasa. So now he is making here in 12th Karika, making a comparative study between Prajna and Turiya. What is the commonness here? Prajna is basically free from adhyasa. Prajna is free from anyatha grahanam. Prajna is free from misconception. Right? Prajna is free from misconception. Adhyasa. Anyatha grahanam. Prajna is free from karyam. Prajna is a karanam. So anyway, Prajna is sleeper. So Prajna is associated with what? Agrahanam. Prajna is associated with what? Karanam. Prajna is associated with what? Ignorance. Right? Agrahanam, ignorance, karanam, etc. This is prajna. And prajna is definitely not associated with anyatha grahanam. Turiya also is not associated with anyatha grahanam. Commonness between prajna and turiya. So freedom from adhyasa or misconception is common to prajna and turiya. Anyatha grahanam is not there. So, well, if next question is if both of them are free from anyatha grahanam, adhyasa, then okay, that's a commonness. Now, what is the contrast? Because compare and contrast also is there. Yeah, prajna and turiya are not common in one aspect. What? Prajna is associated with karanam, ajnanam, right, agrahanam. Turiya is not associated with ajnanam, karanam, agrahanam. So, if prajna is associated with ajnanam, well, what kind of ajnanam? Sarva ajnanam. How can you say that? That's what Karika says. Na atmanam, na param, cha, vetti. Vetti you have to connect. Na atmanam. This prajna doesn't know himself, doesn't know anything in the world. When he is sleeping, right, with the upadhi of ignorance, definitely associated with that, he doesn't know himself, he doesn't know anything. Not only that, na satyam, napi cha anrutam. He doesn't know what is satyam, he doesn't have a knowledge of satyam. Sleeper doesn't have a knowledge of mithya also. And therefore, sarva ajnanam, right, associated with ignorance. What kind of ignorance? Sarva ajnanam. So, and turiya is what? Turiya is not contaminated by anything including ignorance. Turiya is free from even association with ignorance, including, of course, anyatha grahana, misconception also. But here, this comparison between prajna and turiya means definitely both are free from misconception. That's a commonness. But prajna is associated with agrahanam, non-apprehension, ignorance, etc., karanam. Turiya is not associated even with the ignorance also, karana also. So that turiyam is tat sarvam sarvadruk sada. So sarvadruk, Shankaracharya ji gave these two meanings, right? And the first meaning is, which is popular meaning, of course, is Shashti Tat Purusha. Sarvam, Sarvasya Druk, Sarvadruk, Shashti Tat Purusha. That will take later. First we took what? That is what Bhashakara said here. So basically, Sarvam cha tad druk cha, the first line of a Bhashyam in page 57. Sarvam cha tad druk cha, which is everything and which is druk, which is a seer, which is consciousness. So that is a Karmadharaya Samasa. So Turiyam is basically Chaitanyam and Turiyam is everything. That's what it means. And therefore, if Turiyam is everything, the consciousness, druk, consciousness is sarvam, sarvam cha tad druk cha. If consciousness is, but from where you brought this sarvam, sarvadruk? That's in Karika. See the fourth part, right? So, Turiyam tat sarvadruk sada. Prajna is associated with ignorance, karana. Turiya is not associated. Turiya is sarvadruk. Sarvam cha turiya is everything. And turiya is druk, means consciousness. So, the corollary is this. If turiyam is everything, means there is nothing other than turiya, there is nothing other than consciousness, means there is no ignorance, right? Also other than turiyam. There is no ignorance also. Means if everything, all that is there is consciousness, so-called ignorance also is not a second entity. Therefore, prajna is associated with ignorance. Turiya, no. To have an association, there should be another entity called ignorance. It's not. All that is there is just turiya, right? Sarvadruk, sarvancha tadrukcha. And therefore, there is no ignorance other than turiyam. Therefore, ignorance cannot be associated with turiyam. Association require how many two things? Well, at least two things. And there must be a contact between them. And turiya and ignorance can have contact under what condition? Well, only when there are two things. But all that is there is turiya, then ignorance is not an independent entity, right? Other than turiya. Therefore, ignorance, well, basically is mithya. So, because you cannot say, Swamiji, but then let's say the ignorance is shunyam, because all that is there is turiya, therefore ignorance is shunyam. No. If ignorance is shunyam, you cannot experience shunyam. You experience ignorance? Yeah. Therefore, it's a positive entity. Oh, if it is a positive entity, turiya also is a positive, existent entity, positive entity. There are two things. No. There are no two things. All that is there is turiya. That's how it is turiya. Advaitam. So all that is there is turiya, then there is no ignorance. Yeah, there is no ignorance. Therefore, ignorance is shunyam. No, but ignorance you experience. Therefore, ignorance is existent, not shunyam, not non-existent. That's what it is. This is nitya. That's what is nitya. Anirvachaniyam. Yes. Ignorance is anirvachaniyam. Really, there is no ignorance. So therefore, don't come under too much of pressure. Oh, still I have ignorance of the Atma. Still I have ignorance of the Atma. Ignorance just doesn't go. Ignorance just doesn't go. You give reality. It's real for you. There's no reality. There's no reality at all. All that you experience has no reality. That you keep it as a baseline. It's a silver line, a golden line, platinum line. All that you experience is not real. Yeah, not real means non-existent. No, but you experience. Yeah, therefore it is. But then, if it is, then it is other than me. No, that is also not. Try to prove other than consciousness, anything in this world, anything, space, time, anything. Try. You cannot. Therefore, it is for its existence is dependent upon you. Just because you experience it, well, it is there. Experiential existence, no factual existence. Anyway, and therefore, generally we think what? Well, this is that turiya and ignorance may be. Turiya is covered by the ignorance, etc. And therefore, ignorance also is a real entity like turiya, and they may have association. Turiya is covered by that, etc. There is nothing like that. So this turiya ajnana sambandha, well, basically there is no relationship. It's exactly like a relationship between clay and pot. That's it. Cannot have any relationship. It is going to come. This Karika sambandha he is going to analyze further later. Anyway, so basically Gaudapada Acharya ji challenges this relationship of Karyakarana, etc. Because to have a relationship, there must be two entities, pot and clay, and that is not there. But so that is how we say there are no two things, then there is clay, then there is no pot. No, don't say that. There is no pot. No, don't say that. Then there is pot. That also you don't say that. Both way you are wrong. Yeah, both way you are wrong. There is pot. No, you are wrong. There is no pot. Wrong. This is what it is. Enjoy. That's it. Just enjoy. There is no magic at all. But you experience or not. You, not only you, all 500 people in the hall experience that given object of magic. Yeah. Have you experience? Therefore it is there. But if it is there, then definitely it should be there even after the show is over. No. When the show is over, the magician comes with that, just barren hands. Hey, where was that sweet which you generated? I want that sweet. I am very hungry now. The show is over. I am very hungry. Please give me one piece. It's not there. Oh, then it is not there at all. But then you experience. All 500 people experience. Therefore, it is there. If it is there, then ask him, request him, he will give you. It is not there. What is this? This is how the whole creation is. Bhagavan has not created anything. That's how Akhandanji says very beautifully. Yeah. I think I said in the morning. Akhandanji says, it's amazing. Akhandanji says that, that these people blame us. Vedantin, the other, this Vishishadvaita and all, they blame this Advait Vedantin. What? That these people, the Vedantins try to, they are also Vedantin, but this Advait Vedantin. So this Advait Vedantins try to prove that there is no real world, there is no real world, there is no real world. So Akhandanji says, we are not interested to prove that, we are not trying to prove that there is no reality of the world. What we are trying to prove is that there is, other than the reality, there is nothing else. What is that reality but? That is you. We are interested to prove that there is nothing else other than the reality. We are not trying to prove that the world has no reality. No, we are not interested in that. We are interested in proving that there is nothing else other than the reality that is you. Okay, so we are not Mithyavadis. We are Atmavadi. We are Ahambadi. We are Brahmavadi. Okay, that is the thing. Yeah, a very big difference. That we are interested in proving the, negating the reality of this world, etc. Not at all. There is nothing other than Turiya. Nothing other than you. Therefore, there is no relationship with ignorance at all. It's anirvachaniya. Ignorance is anirvachaniya. Therefore, there is no relationship with Turiya. And even if you want to establish the relationship, it is mithya relationship, anirvachaniya relationship. Really speaking, there is no relationship. Because all that is there is Turiya. Anyway. So, here we were seeing, so ignorance is absent in Turiya. So Turiyam Adhyasa also is absent because Tatra means in this Turiya. Tat prasutasya. Tat means here avidya or ajnana. Ajnana prasutasya anyatha grahanasya api ataha eva abhava. I know we have seen that, but we are just again, I'm just reminding you. So in Turiya, Adhyasa is definitely absent. Tat prasutasya means born of Tat, born of that Ajnanam, that is Adhyasa. Anyatha Grahanam, also api, Turiye. In Turiya, Anyatha Grahanam is not there. Exactly like Prajna. That's a comparison. Commonness. And so Turiya, basically, which is absolute reality, Ajnanam is also not there. Of course, Anyatha Grahanam is not there, Agrahanam also is not there. Because Ajnanam is basically a Vyavarika Satyam, and therefore, definitely it is not there. And the example which is given is what? Example is Nahi Savitari Sada Prakashatmake Tar Viruddham Aprakashanam Anyatha Prakashanam Va Sambhavati. Nahi Savitari. In the sun, Savitari is a Savitri is a word. Seventh case is Savitari. So na you take it at the end. Na Sambhavati. He, Yasmat, since, so its example here is Savitari. Basically in Savita, in the sun, Sada Prakashatmake, which is of the nature of ever shining, ever illumining, ever revealing. Tad Viruddham, Prakasha Viruddham. So, contrary to that Prakasha, that is Aprakashanam, the darkness, Anyatha Prakashanam. So, even though Anyatha Prakashanam means on the sun you may superimpose something, sun which is ever basically ever of the nature of light, you may superimpose. And that especially is possible at the time of eclipse. Right? At the time of eclipse, you feel that the sun comes under the shadow. Sun is covered. Really speaking, it covers your vision. Sun is ever illumining at that time also. What is ever illumining? What is its nature? Prakashatmake, Prakasha Swarupe. Atmaka means Swarupa. Well, that can never become a dull or can be covered, can come under some shadow. No, not at all. So any object which comes between sun and you, well, covers your vision of the sun, which is ever illumining. So it's an anyatha grahana kind of a thing. Now you say sun has become dull, etc. Right? Especially at the time of the solar eclipse, etc. That's not. So agrahanam and anyatha grahanam. Sun will never have a darkness. Sun will become dull. Anyatha grahanam also, that is also not possible. That's adhyasa in fact. Sun has become dull. The dullness you are superimposing upon the sun, which is of the nature of brightness, basically. It can never become dull. But you superimpose. So same way here, nahi savitari sada prakashatmake tad viruddham aprakashanam anyatha prakashanam va sambhavati. It will never be possible that it becomes dull or it becomes a totally, or there may be darkness in the sun, etc. is not possible. Same way in the case of Atma also. Atma is in place of sun, you keep it this Atma, right? Then Atma, which is of the nature of self-revealing, self-illumining, that Atma, well, cannot have any association with darkness. Here means ignorance, can never have an association with the darkness. Tat viruddham aprakashanam. Aprakashanam means ignorance. Or anyatha prakashanam, anyatha grahanam. So it doesn't have any association with misconception also, adhyasa also. So they cannot coexist, right? Because what can coexist? The darkness and the sun, the brightness can never coexist because they belong to the same order of reality, right? So same way here, turiye parmarthike satye agnanam na sambhavati. So basically, turiya, which is of the nature of self-revealing, self-illumining principle, consciousness, cannot have an association with the ignorance which is of the same order of reality. Yeah. Different order of reality, it is possible. And they always give an example. And that example, it's a very known example by our one Acharya. And that is like, suppose you see in a dream a beautiful jewelry shop, and generally these jewelry shops have lots of lights already to show the glitterness of the all ornaments, etc. They have a lot of lights. So now you are seeing in a dream, you are in a room, in a jewelry shop, in a room which is very, very bright, glittering. And even ornaments add glitter to that, more glitter. And so it's total brightness. And you see that in a dream, but you are sleeping where? You are sleeping on a bed in a room which is very dark. Just darkness is there. So how come the darkness of this room, in which you are present, really speaking, you are sleeping on the bed, how in that darkness the brightness of the jewelry shop can exist? But they would coexist. They coexist. Darkness and brightness coexist. How? Because of a different order of reality. Right? One is a pratibhasikam. The brightness is pratibhasikam. And this darkness is vyavaharikam. Right? Darkness is vyavaharikam. Because you see the brightness. The person who is sleeping along with you in that room, he doesn't see brightness. He may be sleeping. he has a deep sleep. He doesn't see any dream. suppose, then well definitely just there is only darkness. I mean, whereas you are seeing that brightness, so it is pratibhasika, whereas darkness is a vyavaharikam, right? Therefore, darkness and brightness can coexist if they are different order of reality. One is vyavaharikam, one is pratibhasika. Same way, ajnanam is a vyavaharika satyam. I told you, anirvachaniyam, right? Ajnanam is anirvachaniyam. There is no ajnanam, well, non-existent, no. There is ajnanam, you experience, yes, you experience. Therefore, it's a reality, as real as the turiya, no. Therefore, it is a mithya. You experience ignorance and therefore it is there. But in reality, there is all that is there is turiya. There is nothing other than turiya, advaitam, etc. Turiya is absolute reality. Ajnanam is an empirical reality. Therefore, they can coexist. Only they cannot coexist when they have a same order of reality. So, savitari sambhavati, na sambhavati, aprakasham na sambhavati. So here, turiye paramarthik satya ajnanam na sambhavati. If the same order of reality, ajnanam cannot be possible. But turiye vyavaharika ajnanam sambhavati. We can add all these things. And he quotes for that. Nahi drashtuhu drashtehe viparilopo vidyate. The consciousness of the seer, the drashta, well, the turiyam, will be never covered by ignorance. Viparilopa we can translate here as not concealed, cannot be covered by ignorance only. Therefore, here we can quote this. He has quoted before. Now here he is again quoting in reference to ignorance. So the consciousness of the seer, the consciousness of the turiya can never be concealed, can never be covered. Then you add further by ignorance, right? If it is of the same order of reality, if ignorance of the same order of reality, it will definitely cover. But ignorance and turiya belong to the different order of reality. Ignorance is basically sadasat vilakshanam. Turiya is sat, right? Turiya is sadeva satyam. Turiya is satyam, whereas ignorance is basically sadasat vilakshanam. Cannot be called as which is existent, real, cannot be called as a non-existent, anirvachaniyam, mithya, and therefore definitely they can coexist. And the Shastra says very clearly, the consciousness of the turiya can never be concealed by the ignorance. But very fact, but Swamiji, then there is no ignorance at all. No. Ignorance is revealed by the consciousness alone. So how do you say ignorance is revealed by the consciousness? If ignorance is not revealed by consciousness, you and me will not be here. Yeah. You and me are here means what? Why we are here? We have a Zoom class for what? For gaining knowledge. Why? Because I am ignorant. Oh, means ignorance is revealed? Yeah. So how can you say ignorance is non-existent? Right? Just because you feel that you are ignorant, therefore you are here. Then that you are ignorant means that ignorance is revealed by what? I am conscious of my ignorance, Swami. What do you say? I know that I am ignorant. That's what it is. I know I am ignorant. I am conscious of my ignorance. Well, then consciousness reveals ignorance. And therefore, definitely, such a ignorance which is revealed by consciousness is existing in consciousness as mithya. Understand this very well. If ignorance is not there in turiya, and now you say ignorance is associated, there is no association with ignorance, and now you say ignorance is there in consciousness, associated with turiya, etc. Yes, that's how it is. That's how it is. Okay, mithya. So for gaining knowledge, we definitely we put our efforts. That shows there is ignorance. But that ignorance never conceals consciousness. If ignorance has concealed consciousness, then ignorance cannot be revealed by consciousness because it is covered. But the fact that you say I have ignorance means ignorance, or you say I am conscious of my ignorance. You know what you know, and you also know what you don't know. In that case, ignorance has not covered consciousness. Please understand. So this is how it is. This is how anirvachनीय. So then we may, it's a compromise answer that ignorance is covers consciousness partially and all that. It's exactly like, ignorance covers the rope partially, not totally. If ignorance covers the rope totally, even you will not be able to say this is. When you say this is, definitely you are indicating to the rope. Means this much rope you know. Therefore, rope is not totally covered by ignorance. Yeah. So we say samanyamsha and visheshamsha and all that we just say. Right? Basically, ignorance is mithya, cannot cover. If it covers, then definitely both have the same order of reality, etc. But it's not. So therefore we say, well, such a ignorance is there from beginningless time. So that ignorance is, if you say ignorance is born, means over. Ignorance is born means over. Anything which is born is satyam. Satyam, definitely. Means there is something which has given rise to ignorance. No? And therefore, anything which is born means you are giving a reality. It's not born. It's just there like that. A mithya rupena, asti. And mithya can never be separate from the satya. And therefore, all that is there is satya. All that is there is rope only. But, well, there is something called rope ignorance. And therefore, I see snake. That's how it is. This is how it is. Okay, so let's go further. Athava means now he is giving another popular meaning of sarvadruk. Sarvasya druk, etc. That meaning. What we saw is this sarvam cha druk cha. What is everything and which is druk, which is consciousness. Which is everything and which is consciousness. Means there is nothing other than consciousness. Okay, then there is no separate entity called ignorance other than consciousness. Therefore, then what is the relationship between consciousness and ignorance? Well, there is no relationship. Right? There is no association at all. Because not same order of reality. So it is there. So mithya, basically, that's how mithya, whenever you say something mithya, you should immediately say there is satyam. In fact, mithya is satyam. Mithya is satyam. Pot is clay. Yeah. No, there is pot only. Ajnana. Oh, there is clay. Or pot is clay. There is knowledge. Pot has already become mithya when you say clay. When you say adhishthanam, automatically that name form has become mithya. Anyway, so now he is giving that popular meaning of sarvadruk. That's the last portion of that Karika is explaining. And now he is giving that Shashti Tat Purusha meaning, popular meaning, sarvasya druk, etc. Athava. So thereby, by athava, he is giving that other meaning. Jagrat sapnayoho sarva bhutavastha sarvavastu druk abhasah turiyah eva iti sarvadruk sada न अन्यत अतः अस्ति द्रष्टृ इत्यादि श्रुतेः. So he says this, let's take this popular meaning of sarvadruk, sarvasya druk, the seer of everything. But we should understand, when you say seer, witness of everything, Shashti Tat Purusha, popular meaning, then definitely now we have to take care. Because if you say the witness of everything, means there are two things. One which is witnessed and the other is the witness. Right? One that is seen, other is the seer. Seer of everything. Means everything is different. That is seen. I am the seer, etc. So we should interpret properly. Like during the three states of experience, same Turiya alone, in the form of a Vishwa, that is a Prajna, Turiya alone illumines everything, right? All the three states of experience. When you say this Jagrat Athava, Jagrat Sapnayoho, Bhashyakara says, during the other states of a waking and dream, Sarvabhutavastha san, residing as the Sarvabhutavastha san, Sarvabhuteshu avatishthah san, so residing in as a sakshi in everything, in both the states. So in the form of a what? In the form of a sakshi in all the beings, in Jagrata Avastha and Sapna Avastha, Turiya, eva Sarvadruk. Turiya alone is the witness of both the states. Sarva Bhutavastha, residing in both the states of experiences, well, he is a witness of both the states. So Sarvasya Druk, that way, is basically illumining everything. He is a seer of everything. He is a witness of everything in both the states. So, and in illumines of what? Illumines the ignorance and illumines even adhyasa, because both the states are associated with karyakarana, both the states are associated with agrahanam and anyathagrahanam, vishwa and tejasa, right? So basically he is a sakshi of even ignorance and sakshi of even adhyasa, the waker and the waking world, adhyasa. And it is born of ajnanam. Well, ajnanam also is basically, he is a sakshi of that. He reveals even ignorance and sakshi, and he reveals even the adhyasa also. He reveals the agrahanam, anyathagrahanam, both, in both the states. So that's the Sarvadruk. But Bhashyakara, is very clear. Look at that. When you say that he is a witness of both the states, right? And what is present in both the states? Ignorance also, because both the states are adhyasa. Adhyasa cannot be there. Karya cannot be there without karana called ignorance. Therefore, ignorance also is there. And I already told you, Vishwa is associated with the Karya Karana, Tejasa associated with the Karya Karana, etc. We have seen that. So anyway, so basically, he is a witness, he is a illuminator, revealer of both the states, etc. That's fine. But then, how can you? Then there will be Dvaitam, because he is a witness and both the states are witnessed. So therefore, they cannot be one. So Bhashyakara says what? Look at that. Sarvavastu druk abhasa. So basically, he is a seemingly seer of everything. He is a seeming witness of everything. Really speaking, this witness word, honestly, witness word also is a coined word, because there is something called witnessed. With respect to the witnessed, we say we give a status to the same turiya as the sakshi. Really, sakshi also is not a true word. I think we discussed before also. When you say sakshi, witness, means definitely there is something which is witnessed. With respect to that, we say the turiya, the consciousness, is the sakshi. It's just a status. Just a status. Anyway, so here it says sarvavastu druk abhasa. Abhasa, seemingly. Seemingly he is a sarvavastu druk. Seemingly he is a seer of everything. Sarvasya druk, correct. That's a popular meaning, correct. But sarvasya druk, sarvadruk, abhasa, seemingly he is a seer. So, why should you say seemingly seer? Because if you really say seer, well, then there is a seer-seen duality, witnessed duality. So once you say sakshi, you are admitting the saksham, duality is there. And to avoid duality, well, we will have to say he is a seemingly a seer of that. World itself is basically a mithya, we have seen already. And therefore, if world, the seen is mithya, well, the seer also must be mithya. Therefore, seemingly. So, a seeming seer of the seeming world, etc. So, Sarvadruk abhasaha turiyaha eva iti, Bhashyakara says. Sarvadruk, then add that abhasa. We did not add, Bhashyakara has already added. Sarvadruk abhasaha turiyaha. Turiya is just a seemingly witness of both the states. Seeming witness of the seeming universe. Really speaking, it is not a witness. Why? Why? Because there is nothing other than Turiya. You have forgotten that. There is nothing other than Turiya. Then where is the question of a seen world and the seer? If there is nothing other than Turiya, there is nothing other than Turiya means what? There is no real world. So therefore the world is mithya. If world is mithya, witnessed is mithya, then the witness also is what? Mithya. So therefore basically, so and he quotes here, nahi na 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 anyat atah asti drashta ityadi shrutehe, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 3:8-11. So in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad it is said, nahi na anyat atah asti drashta. Anyat drashta nasti. There is no experiencer other than Turiya. So, no experience other than Turiya. Turiya alone is the experiencer. And when you say experiencer, then you say, well, there must be an experience world which is real. No, because basically there is nothing other than Turiya. We already saw that. And therefore, with the seeming upadhi only is a Vishvata, is a Prajna, etc. So anyway, so this is the meaning of this Karika along with this thing. So, nanya tata hasti drishta ityadi shrutehe. Seeming witness and all. Turiya is not associated with the ignorance. One is there is no ignorance other than Turiya. Second is ignorance is mithya. Therefore, Turiya is not associated with ignorance, etc. also. And now 13th Karika. Dvaitasya grahanam tulyam ubhayoh prajna turyayoh bijanidrayutah prajnah sacha turyena vidyate. So first line here again, like in the 12th Karika, here first line talks about, of the 13th Karika also talks about a commonness between prajna and turiya. Well, the second line talks about the contrast between prajna and turiya. Now you can see here, already we said in the 12th Karika, right, the common feature and the contrast. But he will, the same thing, he explains little differently. And what is a common feature which has been said in the first line of the 13th Karika? What is common feature? Both of them are free from duality. Earlier what we said, both of them are free from anyatha grahana, right? Adhyasa, misconception. Now we say both of them are free from duality. Prajna is also free from duality. Here and Turiya also is free from duality. Turiya is by nature Advaitam. It has not become second. Advaitam means what? Dvidaitam, which has become second, is called Dvaitam. Dvidaitam, Dvida Praptam. In Gatau, Dhatu, means to go as such, means to gain, to reach, to obtain, etc. So Dvidaitam, which is obtained as second, that's the Dvaitam. Advaitam, which will never be obtained as a second, which has not become second. Okay. Therefore, Turiya is Advaitam. Turiya is definitely free from duality. Prajna also is free from duality, misconception, adhyasa, etc. Right? So both have this common feature. Dvaitasya agrahanam tulyam. Dvaitasya agrahanam. There is no dvaita at all in ubhayoho, prajna turiyoho. Look at the first line. Prajna turiyoho, ubhayoho, dvaitasya agrahanam tulyam. Samanam, common. Then what is uncommon feature? Well, prajna has got potential dvaitam, right? What is that? Cause is there, right? Ignorance is there, karana is there, for the adhyasa, for the duality is very much there. So prajna definitely has a ajnana, which is a cause for the duality, that is there. So potential dvaitam is there. Prajna is associated with the ignorance, which is potentially duality for the misconception, etc. Whereas Turiyam is by nature free from ignorance also, and therefore definitely we have already seen there is none. Turiyam has no association with ignorance. Ignorance is mithya. Ignorance is revealed in Turiyam. That ignorance which is revealed in Turiyam cannot cover the revealer, because it's not equal order of reality, etc. And that is how Turiya is revealed, ignorance is revealed. Therefore, the consciousness is not really covered. If consciousness is covered, it cannot reveal even ignorance. It cannot reveal anything. Cannot reveal anything. But definitely, even ignorance is revealed and adhyasa is revealed. Everything is revealed in consciousness. Therefore, it is all mithya. What is revealed is mithya. That's it. What is experienced, revealed, objectified, illumined is mithya, is adhyasa. Therefore, ignorance also is adhyasta. And so-called adhyasa also is adhyasta. But when adhyasa, which is karyam, when resolved into ignorance, still ignorance is still, adhyasta. On what? On Atma. Yeah. And that adhyasa has since what? Since how long it is there? It's anadi. It's anadi. Ignorance is anadi. Atma is anadi. Therefore, the dhyasa or the mixture, let's say mixture is also anadi. There is no mixture, but let's call the mixture between. That's how Vedanta Sara says. Satya mithya mixture. Adhyasa means what? Satya mithya mixture. Then what are the entities which are this mixture? Jiva and Ishvara, both. How? Same Brahman which is anadi, associated, so called, associated with Vashti Jnanam, Karana Sharira, which is anadi. Therefore, Jiva is anadi. Same Brahman associated with Samashti Jnanam. They use word Samashti Jnanam, not Maya, etc. Samashti Jnanam, which is anadi. And therefore, Ishvara, the entity, is also anadi. Both. Jiva and Ishvara both are adhyasta. And therefore, there is an equation. Equation is possible because there is something which is inherently there and which is true, right? Even though superficially they cannot be equated, but really speaking, equation is possible because inherently, in reality, they are one alone. So anyway, Turiyam is without ignorance. Now this is a contrast in second line. Turiyam is without ignorance. So look at that in the shloka. Bija nidra yutaha prajna. Bija nidra yutaha. Bija, the karana, nidra, the sleep, ignorance, etc. Yutaha, it is, prajna is associated with. Sa nidra, right? Turiye vidyate. So this nidra is not there, ignorance is not there. Let's go to Bhashya. Nimittantar prapta ashanka nivrityartha ayam shloka. Katham द्वैत अग्रहणस्य तुल्यत्वे कारणबद्धत्वं प्राज्ञस्यैव न तुरीयस्य इति प्राप्ता आशंका निवर्त्यते. Shankaracharya ji introduces this shloka by pointing out that a doubt may come. He introduces this Karika by creating a doubt and answering through Karika. So a doubt may come for a thinking person. What is the doubt? Nimittantara prapti ashanka. Ashanka, doubt. A doubt, which is nimittantara prapti. Prapti means here it is caused by. A doubt which is caused by nimittantara. A doubt which is caused by another nimitta, another reason. What is that? Well, we'll say that. So basically here to remove that doubt, nivrityartha, to remove that possible doubt, well, this shloka is there, this karika is there. So here it is, this prapti ashanka nivrityartha is a one word. Please understand that. Prapti ashanka. So prapta ashanka, I'm sorry, not prapti ashanka, I'm sorry. Prapta ashanka nivrityartha. So prapta ashanka means prapta ashanka, right? The ashanka which is obtained, which arises in a person, in a thinking person. And tasyaha nivrutti, right? So that is how it is. And that nivrutti alone is the artha, purpose of this karika. I am shloka. So katham means how does this doubt come? Shankaracharya ji wants to give the reason for that doubt. He says, Dvaita agrahanasya tulyatvat. If prajna and turiya have got one common feature, that is Dvaita agrahanam, absence of misconception. Absence of misconception is common in both prajna and turiya, right? Then, let's go further. That basically turiya and prajna and turiya both are free from ignorance also. If prajna and turiya are free from the misconception or a duality, that's a common feature, then prajna and turiyam also should be free from ignorance also, the karana also. Why not that way? Why do you say prajna is bija nidra yutaha and sa turiye na siddhyate? How do you say? This bija, etc., the karana is not there, the nidra, ignorance is not there in a turiya, and that is there in a prajna. Prajna means it has a upadhi called this nidra or ignorance, etc., or upadhi called karana. Why do you say that? If both of them are free from the duality, both of them are free from the cause of the duality. One you say duality along with the cause, other is not free from the cause. Other is free from the cause, or one is not free from the cause. Why do you say that? One is associated with ignorance, other is not. Turiya is not associated with ignorance. Why? That's a doubt. In your answer, well, definitely there is a, and the Karika also will explain that. I'm keeping up to this. We'll see further on Monday. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.